Hello and welcome to Classic Vinyl Podcast. I am one of your hosts, Justin, and I'm here with my other host,
Tyler. Yippee-ki-yay, mother lovers.
So you remember your name.
Yeah. Thank you for letting me in your house again.
So today we're going to do Harry Chapin and his most popular song, I would say, Cats in the Cradle.
And the Silver Spoon.
Let me give you a little history about Harry Chapin. He's an American singer-songwriter, pretty much in the folk and pop rock style, I would say. He had a lot of success in the 1970s. All in all, he sold 16 million albums worldwide, which isn't too bad. He's released 9 studio albums. Now those studio albums, he had Varieties and Balderdash, which hit number 3. 7 other albums were in the top 100. I don't think he had any others crack the top 20, however. He released 2 live albums and has released 13 singles. 7 of those singles reached the top 100. I think the song that reached the highest, besides this song we're doing today, reached number 23 or 24 or something like that.
Wow.
He was very involved in fighting world hunger. He actually received some awards for that as well. But unfortunately, he died in a car accident in 1981 at the age of 38.
I am sad to hear that. I didn't realize he was dead.
So do you want to get to the song review?
Yep, let's do it.
And now it's time for the song review.
So today we're going to do Harry Chapin and Cats in the Cradle.
I do love that voiceover monster that does our announcing.
I'd like to know who that is.
Me too.
Cats in the Cradle, I think it's a pretty well-known song. Pretty much everybody's heard it, wouldn't you say?
I think so. This is a song that it has ear burn.
Yeah, and it's been covered quite a few times in different genres as well. But let me give you a little bit of history on the song itself. It was released on August 24th of 1974. It was the opening track for the Varieties and Balderdash album, the one I spoke of earlier that hit number 3, his highest ranking album. I mean, mostly due to this song, I would say. The song was produced by Paul Leka. Guitar and vocals are by Harry Chapin. Piano by Don Grolnick. Drums by Alan Schwarzenberg, and bass by Don Payne. Cats in the Cradle was inspired by a poem written by Harry Chapin's wife, Sandra. She was actually inspired to write the poem by a country song that she heard sometime on a road trip, and she couldn't really remember what it was, but she wrote this poem to it. So after their son Joshua was born, Harry picked up the poem, and he put rock music to it, and that's how we got this song.
Nice.
It's a folk story of a busy father who misses out on a relationship with his son because he's caught up in his career and life like we all get, right?
Mm-hmm. I guess that's what's so poignant about this song is it really makes it relatable to everybody. We all encounter this.
Yeah, and the thing about it is that anybody that knows the song, the father doesn't have quite enough time for his kid. You know, when kids worship their parents, especially the boys worship their dads and the girls worship their mothers, but he doesn't have time because he's too busy in his job. He's too busy with life, and I think he means well. I mean, I'm a father, and I've felt this same thing. And the song goes through the story of how that is as a father to a child and seeing it from the child's point of view in a way. And I don't even know if it's in the child's point of view. It's almost like a overview of sorts, seeing both sides of it.
Third person. It's told from a first person point of view, but it gives you like a third person perspective looking in.
Yeah. And what's kind of interesting about it is we really learn throughout the song that at the end, the child's become the father.
Yeah.
And the same thing is happening again, and it repeats over and over and over.
That hero worship, it's something that we grow out of.
So this song actually hit number 1 in the U.S., number 3 in Canada, and number 6 in the U.K. So this one was a big hit here in the U.S. and what really propelled this album to number 3 as well. The song was inducted into the Grammy Hall of Fame in 2011. So like I stated earlier, this song has actually been covered by a number of artists in different genres. Cat Stevens covered it in 1977, and Ugly Kid Joe, kind of from our music era, the early 90s, covered it in 1992. And it's not a bad song by them either. It's pretty decent. Not as good as the original, but pretty decent. And according to Harry Chapin, in multiple interviews he's given, he wrote the song after he missed the birth of his son, Joshua. And even to this day, his son Joshua has people give him hugs and tell him how this song has improved their relationships with their own families.
Oh, that's sweet.
Yeah, and he recognizes that these people are actually honoring his father who has passed away. So that's kind of a sweet thing.
It's a great song for that, I think.
Yeah, it is. So what are your thoughts on Cats in the Cradle?
So it has this real simple, folksy introduction, instrumentals with a guitar, and there's some sort of twang in it. I'm guessing that's the twang of an acoustic guitar, but then there's the cellos come in, and there's some strings being played with a bow, not just strumming.
Yeah, it sounds like a cello or something like that. I'm not real.
It could be violins. I mean, I'm not sure what the stringed instruments are. Maybe they're keyboard sort of thing. I could see them getting that out of a keyboard, but it's got some really interesting mixing when you pay attention to the instruments that they're doing. And I like it because it sounds real simple and real clean. But one of the things I also like about the instruments is they drive the song and they drive the story along with the lyrics. So the lyrics are telling you about this man who has a little boy that he's missing out on some of the things. His son learns to walk while he's off on, building his career. So he misses out on that. But, there's plenty of time to make up for that, right? And then as it goes along, it picks up, it gets more complicated, the instruments get a little bit more intense, and that's just kind of how life goes too, is it doesn't seem to slow down ever. And then you got a little boy that wants to play catch with his dad, and his dad's like, "Oh man, I've just got so much going on, so I'm sorry. We'll play another time." He's like, "Okay, I want to be just like my dad." And that hero worship's there, but that hero worship, as I said earlier, it has an expiration date, and he comes to find that when his son comes home from college and it's expired. He's just so impressed at how his son has grown up and become a man, and he wants to sit and talk with him, and maybe even just pass on some of the wisdom and the life lessons that he's learned. But just, chat with his son about some things. His son's like, "Well, that's great, Dad. Maybe later, because I just want to borrow the car and go play with my friends. Is that okay?" And he leaves. Then he is an old man, who's long since retired, and his son's off living his own life, and he wants to see his grandkids, hoping that his family will come around, but his son's like, "Oh man, we've just got so much going on. There's no way that we could break away and come see you, Dad. We'll have to get together again some other time, but it's been nice talking. Gotta go." And you realize that, wow, it's all over. It's past. The opportunity to spend time with his son, it's a fleeting moment, and now it's gone.
And I think we all go through that to a certain extent, but don't you think at the same time it's a good proof of that it's never gone, it's never too late?
It's never too late to start working on a relationship or spending time with the people that you love and showing them you love them, right?
I've always been the one to say, I think you have to work on relationships to a certain extent, but we were talking about this before we started recording, that just because you're blood doesn't mean anything. All it means is you're related.
Yeah, exactly.
True family is love, caring, those kind of things.
Yeah. But at the same time, this song still, I think the message of this song rings true. If you want to have a relationship with your kids in their later years or in their grown years, when they're mature adults, you need to invest that time while they're young and they're impressionable and they still want you around, because sooner or later, I think we've seen it with so many different people that as you get old and you start to get more time because you're retired, those responsibilities that you were carrying on your shoulders get shoved off onto other shoulders to bear. And all of a sudden you get to relax a little. And so you want to spend some of your relaxing time with the people that you love, and you want to show them how much you love them. But if you have been ignoring them because you're carrying all these responsibilities up until then, what do you have to build on? It's a chronic problem for a lot of people. But you're right. It's never too late to start trying or to start working at it, right? So this song has a very deep personal place in my heart, and always will. Even so, it's very folk rock. It's very folksy. It's not The Who by any means. It's real soft and real bread and butter. Even so, I still really enjoy this song. What are your thoughts about this one, Justin?
As far as the song, I've always liked the song. I think you said it earlier that there is a little bit of ear burn with this, I think, because it is played quite often. And I think it reaches, not only has it been covered in multiple genres, it covers multiple genres, from soft rock to classic rock to folky, to all kinds of things, so it can hit a lot of places. As far as the song, I really do like the acoustic guitar intro, and they mix in the symphonic music a little bit with it, which I think it's done well throughout the song. It's not overdone. The one thing I think musically that stands out in this song more than anything, especially on the record that we listened to tonight, is the bass. The bass thumps heavy in this song for being such a soft, emotional, finger-picked guitar song. It's got a simple drum beat, but that bass throughout really thumps.
Yeah, and that's where I get that complexity. The more that you listen and you follow it, and as it progresses, the bass really drives it.
Yeah, the bass is really heavy in it. Simple drums, and you got the finger picking going on in the background, but it definitely is a lyrically driven song. It's not really, even though I like the bass, and I think that's the best part of it musically, this is a song you listen to the lyrics. This isn't a song you're dancing to or just love the music to as much. It's certainly lyrically driven.
Yeah, this is a song that you need to be paying attention to it. This isn't no Taylor Swift, gotta love those Starbucks lovers or whatever. You can't mush mouth this song. When you sing it, you have to pronounce it and enunciate clearly.
But I do like the song. The one thing I come away saying with this song is it's a sad song, but it's also very real. And going to the outro, it's basically the intro slowed down a little bit. So it's a good song. I've heard it a lot. I still like the song a lot. Just a little air burn on it.
I think that's fair.
But it is a sad song, and it kind of catches me every time.
It's a cautionary tale, right?
Yeah, it really is. So do you want to get to the song rating?
Let's do it. Let's rate it.
Song rating.
All right, so if this is your first time listening, our rating system's pretty simple and basic. 0 to 10. 0, it's a dud, and we burn it. We haven't done that yet. But if it's a 10, it's awesome, and it's, a gift from the heavens, and I have to go buy the album. 5 would be smack in the middle, so...
I've always wondered, we set that rule up that you have to buy the album, when it's a 10, but we started doing singles and songs, so if the song is rated a 10, do you still have to buy the album?
Spotify.
That doesn't count.
That doesn't count.
That's free.
Oh, that does not. That's not going to do me any favors, is it?
I think we ought to stick to you buying the album.
Okay.
Even if the song's a 10.
Yeah, so I guess Verities and Balderdash, I might have to go buy that one, huh? Because
is it Verities or Varieties?
Oh, I thought it was Verities, but I don't know.
Well, if it's Verities, then I said it wrong. But
that's not your fault.
I don't have the album. I only have the single. So I was never a huge fan.
I think that the message of this, and I probably have to give more credit to Sandra, Harry Chapin's wife, because I think it's the poem that he put music to that really drives it home. And I think that she's a genius, writer with writing this. That being said, I'm glad that Harry Chapin had the foresight and the awareness to see what he was looking at the second time around, because it sounded like Harry and Sandra, they would look at each other's work, and he's like, oh, what do you think of this song? And he'd play it for her. She's like, yeah, that's really nice. And he's like, well, what are you working on? Well, I've been writing these poems, and she'll read him some of her poetry. He's like, oh, that's really good. Yeah. So he saw this poem and he's like, oh, nice poem. But then didn't really think anything of it. Then his son came along and the poem came back. And then he realized, well, wait a second. I missed the birth of my son. I don't get to go back ever again and be there for the birth of my son. And he realized time is limited. So I think that she really captured the desperation and the importance of hitting those life events in her writing, and he took it and drove home with it. It's not in my wheelhouse, the style of music. That being said, it's a beautiful song. I think it's perfect for what it is. I'm giving it a solid 8. Where do you put this one, Justin?
I've always quite liked the song, but I don't really search it out. I think I hear it enough as it comes on the radio and some of my Spotify playlists and things like that. I do own the single, but I think this is probably the second time we've actually listened to it. But that being said, it's a really good song. It's one I do pay attention to the lyrics. I don't think you cannot. I rate this song a 7.
All right.
So that's Harry Chapin, Cats in the Cradle. Let us know what you think. And like always, we appreciate you listening to us here at Classic Vinyl Podcast. And until next time,
see ya.
See you later.
Thank you so much for listening to Classic Vinyl Podcast. And don't forget to subscribe on Spotify or Apple Podcast or wherever you listen to your podcasts. Follow us on Instagram at Classic Vinyl Podcast for updates, and also share us with your music-loving friends.